the majority of Americans have no money to protect them, not even a little bit, against a little emergency. And that's why for most people, if a little emergency happens, they end up in credit card debt. And so this is where now you got to understand, how do you break out of the system? And everybody here says, if you just got a little raise, if you could go from $50,000 a year to $60,000 or $70,000 a year, now all of a sudden, you're going to have the ability to have way more money to save and pay down your debt and start investing, because your expenses are based off of $50,000 a year. So if you're making $60,000, you got a $10,000 buffer. But statistically, what we've seen happen is as Americans make more money, they end up in a bigger financial hole. And that's why even the majority of Americans making over $100,000 a year are broke, living paycheck to paycheck. It's not just because of how much money you make, it's what you do with the money you make, and that's why you got to stop making other people rich. And this is where most people assume that means I got to stop working for my boss because I'm working to make my boss richer, but that's not what I'm talking about. Because if I show those numbers on the screen here again, take a look at these expenses, what you'll see is that you are working hard to make this money. You're working hard to make that 50 grand, but who's getting paid? It's not you. It's first the government getting paid through taxes. Then you got to pay your landlord or your banker through your mortgage. Then you got to pay people like your health insurance company. Then you got to pay the utility company. Then you got to pay the car company. Then you got to pay the gas company. Then you got to pay for the food and the entertainment. All you're doing is working hard to make money to give it to everybody else. You're working hard to generate money so you can redistribute it to everybody else. But if you really want to become wealthy, you got to change what you do with your money. And that means you got to stop making other people rich, and you got to use your money to make yourself rich. See, most people are working hard to make money so they can make other people rich, which means they're working hard to get paid so they can look like they're rich. Because now if you're working hard to get paid and then you give this money to Gucci, you give this money to Lululemon, you give this money to Amazon, you give this money to BMW, you look like you're rich. You look like you made it. You have all the nice stuff, and this is what's normal. In fact, what's normal is to go out and spend more money than what you're generating through your credit card, through buy now, pay later, or as I like to call it, broke now, broke later, to use home equity lines of credit and other forms of debt to spend the money you don't have to buy things that make you look rich. But now what you're doing is you're spending tomorrow's income to buy something that's losing money. Because what is debt? It doesn't matter what type of debt you're using, whether it's credit cards or whether it's buy now, pay later. What is debt? Debt means you're spending your future income today. You're using tomorrow's income to spend it today. But what you're doing when you're going out and buying these things is you're using your future income to buy something that's losing value. So when you go out and you finance that BMW, you're using tomorrow's income to buy a car that's losing value. And then you got to pay interest on top of that because your BMW is losing value. When you go out to finance the Gucci or the vacation or the nice stuff, all these things are dropping in value, and you're using your future income to pay for that today. You're using tomorrow's income to look like you're richer today, but what you end up doing is making your banker richer tomorrow. You're making the Gucci richer today. And if you want to stop worrying about money, the first thing you got to do is not try to get more money, because that ends up making you broker most of the time. You got to now work to make yourself rich. And that means you got to stop with all the spending. You got to stop giving all your money to everybody else. You got to stop with the redistribution of your wealth. You got to keep that wealth for yourself if you want to start getting rich. If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide on how to start generating passive income for free. All you got to do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.